guys? Welcome back to the Pro Physique Code. Today, we got my man Calvin, who was the champion, the overall winner of the summer, what do we call it? The Summer Sculpt Transformation Challenge.
Summer Sculpt, yes.
Man, so that's a pretty big deal because I'm not going to lie. When I went into those Facebook groups and looked at those people's before and afters, I was impressed. Like there were some impressive transformations.
There was, there was tons and tons of, we had over how many people do we have on that Facebook group? Probably,
I mean, there's over 1,000. I mean, yeah.
Over 1,000? Yeah, it was pretty insane.
Yeah. So, and the thing I notice about men, they tend to have the more drastic transformations. Because if you take a man who's put on a lot of body fat and kind of mistreated himself, and then you just switch gears and start eating healthy and working out and doing cardio, they piss off the women because the women will like struggle to lose a pound. And the guy will be like, yeah, first week I dropped 10 pounds. So like men's bodies are just super adaptive when they've been kind of mistreated.
It's true. I feel like it's just, obviously with men, right? With us, the overeating portion of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're just constantly we don't, when we're not accountable, right? When we don't hold ourselves accountable, we constantly just like eat. And it's maybe like a male thing, but we feel like, hey, we know that we could probably burn that off. Something
well, for
like
me,
that,
I don't know. How tall are you?
About 6'1".
So yeah, you're tall like me. I'm 6'3", and I always felt like the number on the scale needed to go up. I wanted to weigh 190, 200, 210. So I remember I got up to 240 at one point, and I thought, yeah, I'm 240. And then I saw a picture of myself, and I was like, this is not a good look for me, But I think as guys, we tend to focus on weighing more when we're young versus women tend to restrict calories at a younger age.
True.
So I always say like male transformations are so drastic because our bodies want to be in that 12 to 15% range. We want to be athletic and move more. So as soon as you start doing that, so let's talk about your total kind of what was more impressive than your weight loss was your transformation. And that's why you were the champion, because this is not a weight loss challenge. And there was somebody that lost, I think the guy lost 70 pounds in 12 weeks, which was so impressive.
Yep.
But you actually added muscle, your waist came down incredibly. But what was your total weight loss over the 90 days?
46 pounds.
I mean, that is insane.
It's insane. The inches, what was,
yeah.
I almost like lost track, right? I mean, it was probably like 4 or 5.
You just threw away so many clothes, right?
I'm literally like, especially going on this New York trip we're in our little vacation. I have to literally buy everything brand new. Nothing fits anymore. Like back in the day when you'll see someone with a big old belt, or your belt's nice and tight and your pants are nice and crunched up. That's the way I look right now.
Yeah. It is fun to go shopping when you have a new physique because A, you get to see yourself in the mirror, but B, it's like clothes just fit so much. You're like, oh, this is how clothes are supposed to fit. I'm supposed to be able to tuck my shirt in and look nice. Yeah. Yep. So 46 pounds, 90 days for those that don't know, that's about 12 weeks. So we're looking at 4 pounds a week. So that is well beyond what I would consider. I mean, I would not even place that expectation on like a client of mine. So tell me where you were at when this transformation challenge started that made that possible. You had to be just doing nothing and eating all the food, or were you drinking alcohol? Like what was going on?
No. So I'm going to kind of go back a little bit before the challenge. Before the challenge started, 3 months before exactly, I was weighing about 280, about 280 pounds. I got down to the challenge and I was weighing I think I started off like at 256.
Wow. So you had already lost 26 pounds. Wow. 24 pounds.
Definitely. It was a tough journey during those past 3 months. I mean, from 280, and I was tracking. I had a sense of, hey, I have my Fitness Pal in my hand. I knew how to use it. I really didn't track the macros like too deep, or my protein intake. I was just kind of just trying to do better.
Yeah.
So this journey before the challenge actually started 3 months before ahead.
Wow.
It was a tough road, and then to get to the to the first day of the challenge, I kind of was already locked in just a little bit. And what I mean by locked in is I had a sense of like, hey, I know what it takes to continue to just get better.
Yeah.
At that point, I did, even when I first started the challenge, I didn't care if I lost, hey, cool, I lost 1 pound in 3 months,
Right.
for 90 days, right? I was just, my goal was just, I just wanted to complete it, and that was it.
Okay. Had you done one of the challenges before? Because I've heard that quite a few times.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I think our winner from last year, that was like her third attempt, and she had never made it past the first 4 or 5 weeks. So for those that don't know, a 90-day challenge sounds nice. 90 days, that's 12 weeks. And everyone's all excited for the first and second week. It's about the third or fourth
Yep.
week where you start to realize, like, okay, this is when the work begins, because the
Mhm.
the motivation and the excitement is gone, and now it's just you and your feelings and how regimented you're going to be. So talk to me a little bit about so when you were at 280 pounds, was there a picture? Was there a moment? Was there a doctor's visit? Was there something that made you go, okay, that's enough?
Yeah, so during that time, I went to the doctor just for no, I went, a lot of things happened during that year. Started off with, I blew out my back twice, right? I mean, I'm
Yeah.
like, how did I do that? I literally fell down, I couldn't get up. I mean, I don't know if that was due to weight, a lot of stress on my back, who knows, right? So 2 months after that, I end up one day waking up with a bunch of pain in my knee. I end up having a gout, right? And gout, I don't know if you ever seen anyone with it, heard of that.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Uric
brutal on
acid in
the,
the joints. It's like very painful.
yes.
Yeah.
Hmm. I had that all over my knee. Couldn't walk, and I
I've
was just
never
like,
heard of it in the knee. I've heard of it in the ankles and feet before.
on the knee. It was pretty brutal. I thought maybe I had like some type of infection, or maybe I have no idea. Um, so that happened, and then so during that time frame, they gave me antibiotics. I was good. I ended up going for a regular checkup, and during that time frame, they're like, "Hey, your blood pressure is super high. Your weight is out of control. What are you doing to control it? Because at this moment right now, you're if you continue this process, you're going to be 100% diabetic. I mean, there's nothing going to change that. Like, you're already
Okay.
pre-diabetic with your numbers. They look horrible." So all that was just like during the year, I was just kind of like freaking out a little bit. I started developing anxiety. I didn't know, like, the anxiety came for me. I think it came from not liking myself, right? Not feeling comfortable in my own skin. Um, Knowing that I had these possible health issues, which runs in my family. Everyone's, for some, they're just diabetic, whether it's cause, or type 1, type 2. So many different issues were going on, and I was just kind of getting overwhelmed. I even had an anxiety attack. I ended up in the doctor, not knowing what was going on. I had an EKGs all over my chest, and hey, like, hey, it's just anxiety. All of that, and then that's when I decided to make that change, because they did want to prescribe me the weight loss shot, right? It
Oh,
was
is it metformin or something like that?
it was Ozempic.
Okay, Ozempic.
Yeah, they wanted me to get on that, and I was like, no, I mean, I don't want to do that. I don't want to, have something, just be injected, and just because I'm out of shape, really, really out of shape.
Right.
So that's when I started making those changes within that 3 months before the challenge started, and like simple changes, taking more steps, right? I know, like you always talk about in your videos, taking more steps, just being more active, doing little things that I wasn't doing before, making small changes in my eating, nothing crazy. I still ate out probably every other day. Just trying to better myself. And at that point, that's whenever, I saw it was 2 days before the challenge started, decided to sign up. And I was like, hey, I'm going to listen to Paul's video real quick. Let me get motivated, right? Let me give this a shot. And that's when it started. And that's when I was already down to about, like I said, from 280, I was to 256 at that point where I started the challenge.
That's pretty significant. So, are you married? I saw your significant other in the room with you.
Yes, married, awesome. She's super great, super supportive.
So, I
Uh,
mean, obviously this has an impact on the people in your life as well. So, did you guys change your routine as far as, like, meal prepping, or like you said when you still went out to eat, but did you start making better choices? Like, instead of getting like a triple Whopper, maybe you got a chicken sandwich. Like, were you just starting to consciously, like, whittle down and make good choices?
yes, definitely. We were meal prepping probably, I don't like to eat something that's in the fridge past 3 days, to be honest with
The
you.
same
Right?
as you. Same.
Most people don't. So we would prep probably for 3 days. Obviously, chicken, the
Yep.
same old stuff. The minute rice in a cup, I'll just throw inside there and microwave it real
Yeah.
quick. Something whatever is gonna be most efficient, but we would eat out, and I would pay attention to like, hey, I'm gonna go to Freebirds and let me have
Are you
a.
in Texas?
I'm in Texas.
Okay.
I don't like, what do y'all have over there? Chipotle maybe?
Yeah, we have Chipotle, Tijuana Flats. We actually have Capital Tacos by my house, which is another Texas chain. For those that don't know, Freebirds is like the best burritos and tacos. It's so good.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So that was kind of one of my little go-tos, making, instead of having it super, super massive with a bunch of extra,
Oh, let me
cheese.
tell you, whenever I go to one of those places, the person in front of me is like, just let me get the guac and the sour. And they're just like, I'm just like, that's literally 400 calories of sour cream just right there. Like, and here's me with just rice and steak and salsa. But like, I mean, it's funny how just those little changes can have such a big impact.
Yep, definitely. But I also have 4 kids. That was one of
Oh,
the
wow. Okay.
that
What
was
ages?
10, 8, 4, and 3.
Okay. I mean, that's the age when they want their dad to hang out with them and go kick the ball and go to the park and stuff. I mean, that's got to be a big driver.
It was super, super massive. I mean, there was some days when I'd come home from work and just I didn't want to do nothing. I literally just wanted to come home, relax. They'd be like, "Hey, Dad, let's go outside. Hey, Dad, let's do this." And I'm like, "I'll go later. I'll go in a
Yeah.
little bit, right?" And then you never go outside.
Yeah.
Just because I just wasn't like, I just mentally, and I feel like with all the weight gain and everything kind of just all in my head was just taking over, a little obviously with anxiety, a little bit of depression, right? Because I didn't want to do nothing. I just wanted to stay in the couch,
Right.
literally not do anything. Definitely some motivation with my kids. They needed me to be better.
Did you start, because I know we provide like some workouts and things like that. Did you start actually using the gym, getting in there and lifting weights? Because your body composition, you didn't just lose body fat, you like recomped, you look better.
Yes, I was working out. I think I was doing a 4-day split on the push pull. I got the workout program from the site.
Yeah.
I use one of those. It was super, super simple, super
Yeah.
progressive, right? That was the goal, was to just kind of keep going with the flow with it. As far as
What'd you do for work every day? What's your job?
I'm a steel worker,
Okay.
so
Oh, so that's pretty physically demanding. No, or are you just more like working in a factory, or what? How demanding is that?
pretty demanding. I'm building the structure of the metal framing for buildings. So
Okay.
it's definitely pretty demanding. Um, so I was still kind of pretty, like, when I would get to the gym, I was like, man, I can still lift this, right? Pretty
Yeah.
easy. I was like, okay, but I am also 280 pounds. So I could still push some weight.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm constantly pushing some heavy stuff. I was walking a lot though as well during work. I mean, I was averaging probably 8 to 10,000 steps a day, just naturally.
I mean, for you to maintain 280 pounds being that active, you had to be just eating any and everything you wanted.
Yes,
Okay.
it
Yeah.
was pretty bad.
And I mean, honestly, like Texas is a tough place. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it has one of the highest obesity rates, and probably because the food is so damn good. I mean,
It's amazing. I
yeah.
mean, I haven't been anywhere else, but Texas, I could literally,
What city in Texas are you in?
San Antonio.
Okay. Yeah, I've been there many times. Great food. Great food. So
Yep.
yeah, I mean, breakfast tacos is my favorite. When I go to San Antonio, I always go, there's a little place by the hotel. I get breakfast tacos. So
Yeah, it's super, super great. And also too, I want to bring up, you talk about food. So on the construction site, we cannot leave that construction site when
sure.
I'm working. So they basically shuttle us there. We get there. The only thing we have for lunch there is a taco truck.
Okay.
So it's either we bring our food or we eat from the taco truck.
Yeah.
So I was eating that probably until I couldn't anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, the thing about dieting, what I find is like I said, when I go to Chipotle, you can eat there healthy. Like you can just get rice and meat and or you can go, let me get the most calorie dense option with sour cream and cheese and, guac. And so you can turn, there's, I've talked about it a lot in my YouTube videos. There's plenty of research or plenty of case studies of people that have lost 30, 40, 50 pounds eating at McDonald's 3 days a week.
Oh yeah.
I mean, 3 times a day, every day. The guy famously, he was a teacher. He made his students buy his meals, but they had to fit them into the calories. And so, people don't realize you can go to McDonald's and get oatmeal. You can get a chicken sandwich.
True.
So a lot of it, a lot of the blame is placed on fast food. And I'm not saying they're not, partially responsible, but at the same time, like, these are personal choices. I just, the argument is that we should be able to own guns, but we shouldn't be able to make a choice on what food we eat. So, like, to me, it's like, it all comes down to personal responsibility. You've got to know what you're putting in your body. Maybe there needs to be more education on that at a younger age, but I don't think it's the job of someone that makes delicious food to tell you when to stop eating.
True.
I mean, nowadays, they have to include calories. That's one of the things that all restaurant chains have to provide. So, there is at least the information out there. I mean, even the apps now, like, if you're going out to eat at, like, any common place like a Chili's, if you type in one of the apps, Chili's, all the foods come up. So you can track it. So it's even though obesity has continued to rise, the amount of information has also risen. And I'm hoping, at least it seems like it to me, there seems to be a shift in the awareness around, okay, it's not about a trendy diet. It's not about a pill. It's not about a shot. It's literally about day-to-day personal decisions. Because listen, I eat donuts. I go out to eat. I eat tacos. I eat all those things. I just understand how to do that. And hopefully, like, the point of this challenge, Calvin, is not to say, oh, for 90 days, I just went and did this crazy thing and then didn't learn anything from it. So let's talk a little bit about your routine. Has it changed since the challenge? Have you continued to maintain the weight loss?
So my goal was so during when I was at the end of the challenge, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I didn't feel very good.
Right.
I was, like you talked about, the 4 pounds, that was a lot. And I knew it was a lot, but I got so locked in.
Yeah.
And I know you train tons of competitors, and it's probably, they get so locked in.
Sure.
At that, towards the end, I knew I was losing too much, and the weight just kept coming off. Even when I was like, you know what? Because Nick Joy was my guidance coach.
Oh, Nick was your coach. Oh, that's
Nick,
awesome.
he was super amazing. We can get in that too later.
He gets shredded. He gets shredded.
And he's super, super awesome. So he even said, like, towards the end, it was like, I think maybe week 8 or week 9, he was like, hey, I don't know if how competitive you are, but if you want to get a little more competitive, we can if you want to take this a little deeper,
yeah,
we can go a little deeper. So we kind of played around with a little bit of carb cycling,
yep,
and calories manipulation a little bit, and then cardio, which started ramping that up just a little bit. I didn't feel very good. I was just like, man, I said, I'm ready just to relax a little bit and kind of take a break from the cardio. So right now, the only thing that has changed, I did go up my calories a little bit. I gained a little bit of water weight, which I'm cool with. Cardio, it took down just a little bit. From doing about 4 to 5 days a week I think I ended up doing like about 45 minutes a day. I took it down like 20 minutes.
Okay.
Just because I like walking the treadmill, looking at videos.
Yeah, same.
Just keep it simple. So I've been able to sustain pretty much everything. My strength feels great now that I'm eating a little more. But I'm going to give it some time after the holidays, kind of get back into it a little deeper and take it a lot slower.
Yeah.
And just kind of see where I can take my body, see if I can get, 12% body fat or something. Because I feel like when I finished, I was probably like at 15, 16, give or take.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, that's really, for me, what the transformation challenge is about. It's about, it's part of the reason that we require the essay is because I want to learn how your life changed. We've had people be like, oh yeah, I was fasting for 3 days at a time. And I'm like, yeah, you're not my champion. Like it's got to be about something that once this challenge is over, It's about your daily routine. It's about just creating a lifestyle, learning time management. Those kind of things are what gets me the most excited. Obviously, as a full-time working father of 4, like there's no better example of what can be done. Um, you know, like F your excuses. Like, you
Yep.
got
True.
excuses? Oh, I don't have time. Really? What about
Always
Calvin?
time.
Right.
Yep.
So let me ask you this. So your wife is in the same house as you. You're going through all these changes. Did she jump on board too? Was she like going in? Because it's hard when one person decides to switch gears.
Yeah. I mean, she didn't even it. None of this ever phases her. Like
Gotcha.
she knew I was like super locked in, and I just wanted that change. And
Yeah.
I was counting everything, weighing everything out. I mean, I would even put my creamer right. I was weighing it out. My
Yeah.
creamer, every single thing. Uh, it didn't really hit her, and she didn't get on board until it was over. Until the whole challenge was over, she goes, "Man, like you did a really good job."
That's awesome.
So now she's actually working with Christina.
Castle. Oh, awesome.
Yes, yeah, she's working with her, and right now they're trying to get her calories up. Just like you talked about when you talked about earlier in the beginning of the podcast on the females, right? Not eating enough calories. You said, but you mentioned something about that.
Yeah,
Her,
I find, that's the thing. I primarily coach female competitors, and it's something that, my first coach, Lane Norton, and I just definitely noticed early on is that women tend to start restricting calories at a younger age,
yep,
which means that they typically don't have the robust metabolism that a guy has, because we don't care, especially guys in their 20s. We're running around, bar hopping, playing sports. We're eating 3,000-4,000 calories a day like it's nothing. Girls are already like, you know, on the celery diet in high school. So it's just a little different.
celery and some peanut butter.
Yeah.
But yeah, so right now they're working on just getting her calories up at a nice maintenance, and then lifting heavier. She's never done that.
Yeah.
So, but during the time of the challenge, she works from home and she works out of state.
Okay.
So about 2 weeks out of the month, 2 to 3 weeks, she's gone. So it's literally just me and the kiddos,
Wow.
and dog and a big old cat. Right? They
Yeah.
just it was a tough balance, and like he talked about, like there was no excuses. And I don't like to get like super like, oh, I'm a David Goggins, yeah, the way he gets all hard with it. No, I said I just try to figure it out.
Yeah.
I didn't see no balance. To me, I feel like we can never really have a true balance. I just felt
Yeah.
like I
I don't
just
like the
needed to
word
figure it out.
balance. The word I like is harmony, because I think the idea with balance is that everything is perfectly even. Your time with your kids is even with your time for yourself. No, harmony means there's times when you're going to be overboard on time for yourself, overboard on time for your kids, but you got to find the harmony that works for you. Balance is it's a word that I don't like to use. Big picture, yeah, balance. Like the
Yep.
beginning of our life to the end of our life, we can balance. But day to day, week to week, month to month, there's no balance. Like there, if you don't go all in at certain times on things, you're never going to really know what you're capable of. So yeah, I don't yeah, balance is a myth in my mind.
I think it's a super overrated word, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's why I love Gary V, because Gary V's, you know, he kind of brought me out of my shell when I started my coaching business, because I used to feel bad if I worked more than 40 hours, because I came from like this background of like, this is my job, I work 40 hours and then I've got me time. But then I realized, like, well, why do I have to have me time if I actually like my work? I can
True.
just work more and I'm happier. So I work. I listen, my wife will text me at 5 o'clock and be like, can you come downstairs at 6? And I'm like, okay. Like, I will work around the clock if you let me. So like, I just love what I do. So it's
Awesome.
it's that kind of thing with what you're doing. Like, once you start to find something you're excited about, there's no reason to not go all in, as long as it's not having negative impacts on other areas of your life. So that's exciting. And you said you're going on vacation to New York?
Yeah, so she's gonna be working. She works in New York, and then obviously when she flies here, she also works in Milwaukee as well. Um, so we're gonna go take a little trip. I'm super excited. She'll be working, and then I'll try to plan out the day. Maybe go for a little workout, have some coffee, wait till she comes home, and then or to the hotel, and then
So I'm assuming you've got some help with the in-laws with the kiddos, because Sounds like you guys got a good support system to be able to like, work as much as you do and all that.
That's definitely a balance. I'm gonna use that word balance because
Yeah.
my father-in-law, he'll bring his kids over. I mean I'm sorry, his dogs over, which are his kids, right?
Yeah.
Bring him over. Hey, can you take care of him for like 3 weeks? I'm going out to Spain to travel.
Yeah.
Sure. Now, if we need something, like we wouldn't have gone on a vacation. Can you take care of the kids? I got it.
Cool.
Yeah. So
Cool.
he's definitely, I'm super grateful for him and everyone just for all the support, and they understand it. They understand it. My wife has to work out of state, and I just try to figure it out. And they do show that, like, man, he does need a little bit of help. So super grateful for it.
Yeah. I think the exciting thing for me is that to represent the entire competition as the champion, you weren't the person that lost the most weight, although you lost a ton. You weren't the person that at the end was the most shredded, although your body composition changed drastically, but you were the person that had the biggest transformation, right? Physically, mentally. And that's really what's exciting for me is that you've just come out of the other side of this. Like, I don't think it's potentially you ever going back to that 280-pound version of
No,
yourself.
there's no way.
Right. You've figured some things out, and now you know how to manipulate. Hey, if I want to be a little bit leaner, cool. If I want to be a little bit more looser and have some fun, great. But I'm sure the next time you go to have you been to the doctor since you've lost all this weight?
I haven't yet, but I plan to, just get some blood work and just
I just, you know, because when I go to the doctor, I almost feel like they don't know what to tell me because they don't know how to treat healthy people. Right. Like, when I go for my checkups, they're like, yeah, everything's good. Like, so for someone like you that's lost, gosh, it's going to be going on 50, 60 pounds next time you see them. I just think he's going to be over the moon ecstatic, and he's going to want to know what you did because you turned down what most people say yes to, which is a shot that basically makes you not want to eat.
yep.
So to do it on your own accord, you learned some skills. The thing I worry about with those shots, and I'm sure they have some value, because for some people that are so obese that their health is at risk, they need an intervention of some kind. If they're not willing to do the work themselves, the problem is like, you're not learning anything. If you're just doing a shot, if that shot goes away, you don't have the skills to maintain the weight. The hunger is going to
True.
come back. The habits are going to come back. And oftentimes the weight gaining comes back even worse. They end up heavier, right? Because they'd never learned the skills. So for you, you've now got this skill set of like, I know how to do it. I wouldn't be surprised if your friends and family are like, hey man, can you give me some tips? That's
Oh,
kind of how
it's been crazy. And actually, you talking about the weight gain? My brother was diabetic, right? So he got on that shot, and I know from experience, like exactly what he went through. Got on it, couldn't really eat anymore. He was maybe eating, a couple of pecans and some nuts a day. Lost a bunch of weight, lost a bunch of muscle that he did have. He was trying to work out. He just didn't have the energy to work out. He gained some weight, and then he's like, dude, I gotta get off this thing, man. So he's calling me. He's like, hey, I'm gonna start working out. Like what should I do?
cool.
And it's yeah, and it's crazy when you talked about like people reaching out and about, hey, what did you do? I had tons of, I guess, since when the post on Instagram went through, I didn't realize how many messages I had under my messages. I had people
Oh
from
yeah. So there's one that's like, I have that too. It's like, it's the messages of people that you follow and follow you or whatever.
yep,
And then there's like the hidden one. I didn't know about that for a while. I had like 1,000 messages. I was like,
yeah.
oh my God. Yeah.
I had tons, and I had tons of messages from people like all over the world, right? And I had to use like a translator, to Google Translator, to copy and paste it. And I was like, wow, this is pretty crazy. And they were like, hey, well, I'm super excited to hear your podcast and like what it's like to make a change. I have similar stats, and then how did you get to look like this to that?
Yeah.
Uh, Pretty mind blowing everything, but definitely. So I didn't really pay attention to the way I looked at all. Like it didn't really catch me until I took a break off of that construction site. I went somewhere else. I came back, and then the guys are like, damn, dude, is that even the same person?
Right.
And I'm like, man, you're right. I do look a little different, right? Like,
Yeah.
dude, yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's fun. I mean, it's probably hasn't happened completely yet because you're going to run into somebody you haven't seen in 2 or 3 years at an airport or at a family event, or this is the, yeah, this is the, when because you're seeing yourself every day, your wife, your kids are seeing
Mhm.
yourself every day. So it's such a minor day-to-day change that, you miss the forest for the trees. And even like I've had clients that I've coached for 3 or 4 years, and I'll have one of my clients having a bad image day. They'll be like, coach, I feel fat today. I feel bad. And I'll like send them the picture they sent me when we started. And they're like, okay, I'll shut up now. Right. Because we do get so used to our current look that we forget how far we've come. So yeah, it's always a nice reminder when you see somebody you haven't seen in a while and they're like, damn, man, you look awesome. Because for me, representing weight loss and body composition change and just being healthier, I just want to dispel the rumor that you need to do the carnivore diet, you need to do fasting, listen, those are all tools, but they're not necessary. It's literally just accountability, a couple little
Mhm.
things, making some decision differences, and honestly, just treating yourself well. Like our body wants to be healthy. Our body doesn't want to be unhealthy. Like you just have to treat yourself well. And what feels better than, you have a bad day and you go to the gym, you work out and you walk out of the gym, you're like, man, I feel great now. Like it's almost like a drug, like I literally
Sure.
get up every morning and I go for my 30-minute walk. And if I don't, I literally feel less happy that day. It's like, it's wild to me that it took me this long to figure this out, because cardio was a bad word when I was growing up. You didn't do cardio if you're trying to add
Yeah.
muscle. Now I'm like, no, I'll never not get up and do some form of cardio. I just don't feel like a good human being. Um, and it just makes everything else, you start your day in a positive way, it just makes everything else go downstream. Like I used to laugh because the whole getting up at 5 in the morning before I had kids, I was like, these people are crazy, who would ever do that? Now I'm like, you got kids, you got no choice, you can't start your day when the kids start their day, or you're like behind. I get
Yep.
up before, so I'm coming down the stairs when they're getting up. I've already done more in my day than I used to do, all day. So yeah, I'm sure. So did you do a lot of that, getting up before the kids?
I was getting up about 4:15 a.m.
Yeah.
So I had to get up. Like I said, I didn't like to prep my food days in advance. I would usually make some ground chicken or something real quick.
Yeah.
I would get their lunches ready, everything. So I had to. I'm a little bit of OCD. Well, I mean, I felt like I had to be super organized. I felt like I had to everything had to be in place for me to just have a great day. Um, I tried to think that way, right? I was aware of, sometimes my thoughts would kind of throw me off if I did have a, hey, dang, I didn't get their lunch ready. I feel like it would affect me a little bit
Yeah.
just because my pattern that I was in a good pattern. I was at that time too. I was only like when I was on when I was on the grind, right? I feel like everything just had to be in place, and if it wasn't, it was just a bad day. And I had to learn to accept that. And when you're talking about, I forgot you were talking about earlier, but like being self aware, that
Yeah.
was like the biggest thing that really I had to take in was keeping myself knowing exactly what I'm doing and making things better for myself by keeping, data,
Yeah.
like doing stuff. My thoughts would before the challenge, I was so judgmental of myself, and which is why I think I did gain a little bit of anxiety. I would, look in the mirror, stand there like, man, I look like junk. And I would that and at that point already, I'm already judging myself. Those negative thoughts are already hitting me super, super hard. And now my day is just, but I wasn't making any changes, right?
Right.
Because when I figured out like, hey, I have to be aware, self-aware of how I need to change, that just like changed everything.
Yeah.
Uh
It's funny,
it changed,
what your description of like you're a process is exactly how I get when I get into like a contest prep, which is why I like to compete every couple of years. I get so organized. I always tell people, I'm like, I'm a better person when I'm in a prep because I have to be so organized, because if I don't plan ahead, then I don't get everything done. I don't get my cardio. I don't get my lift. I don't get my work. I don't get my time with my kids. It's like I have to be more organized so I can be more relaxed. And you think it would be the opposite. You think the more organized you are, the more kind of like stressed you are, but it's the opposite. It literally, like, organization frees your brain up to be like,
True.
because you just feel like, cool, I got it all done today, get it all done tomorrow. Like, I would lose sleep if I didn't, have something planned out the next day. I'd be like tossing and turning, being like, shit, what am I going to do for my third meal? I didn't cook any chicken yet, like, so I have to have all that stuff done so I could actually shut my brain off. Um, and all that stuff. And the real value, Calvin, for me is that when I did my first bodybuilding show, was the first time I ever did all these things, learned time management, told myself, put myself first, told my friends no. My life really got much better from my relationships with my friends. I went back to school. I got promoted at work. It was like all this stuff bled into everything I did, that I just became a better version of myself. And I think, that's, if it's not already happening, it's going to be happening for you. Like, in the days and weeks and months ahead, you're just going to notice that, like, you just become a better version of yourself. And it's not just related to like bodybuilding or fitness. It's related to like relationships you have in your life, your career. It's all going to start to, people just see you differently when you treat yourself well. It's bizarre, but it's, yeah, it's one of the fun things about getting old is looking back and realizing, like, oh yeah, that's why that happened.
It's true. Anything's possible.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
before the challenge, I mean, when the challenge started, I never even thought. I still remember watching your videos, and I was like, man, I don't know if that's real, right? I was thinking, especially when we saw, I saw what's her name, Andrea or Drea,
Yeah. Andrea, she was the winner for last year.
and I was like, oh my gosh. But then you see her, week by week, and I was like, man, that's probably legit.
I mean, obviously she had some extremely gifted genetics to work with there, but even like if you listen to her interview, the things that she struggled with, that joint disorder that she
Oh
has,
yeah, I remember that.
like, she had to overcome a lot. And she's even like, being on the podcast for her was a lot. She has like social anxiety.
Oh wow.
She's not on social media. So I was excited for her because the way that I saw her physique change was that she lost cellulite. And for women, that is so powerful, because I think some women feel like powerless. They feel like, oh, I've just got cellulite for the rest of my life. No, she started working out and she lost body fat, and it disappeared. But she also had like this crazy physique where I mean, I get so much negativity, I just ignore it. I block them, but they're like, liar, she's on steroids. This wasn't
Yeah.
90 days. I get all these messages too. So I think obviously when you take a group of people, I think we had over 2,000 people in the challenge, there's going to be a few outliers, right? That are just
Oh
like
yeah.
beyond what most people can do. And that's what, like, you creates that champion. Same thing with bodybuilding. There's just people that you look at and go, how is that even possible? Like, but there's just genetic outliers that when you put the work in, you're going to get a lot out of it. So, and it's exciting for me because, when our next challenge kicks off in late January, it's going to be exciting to really share your story, share your pictures. And just because I think you represent a lot of men, right? That just kind of feel a little bit powerless, a little bit
Definitely.
overwhelmed, and don't know where to start. And they're going to go like, I get it. This guy and me are very similar. If he can do it, I can do it. That's my mentality. Like, that was the first time I decided to do a bodybuilding show. A friend of mine did it. I'm like, if he can do it, I can do it. So it just helps to have that, like, to see it done. So
Definitely. In the whole challenge, I mean, the easiest thing I can tell people to is keep it simple, right?
yeah,
Like keep it simple. The whole process, I try to keep simple. I try to every single day, my goal was to be stress free.
yeah,
I didn't want any stress in my life. I already have enough, with the kiddos trying to manage everything. Um, I didn't want to stress out with anything. I had days where I was super, super tired and I would work 10 to 14 hours a day at least. I had days where I was just like, I guess I'll go to the gym and maybe give some effort enough to just make it into the gym. Even when I would talk to like Nick and he was like, "Hey, how's everything going?" I was like, some days it's a little rough, man, but I'm still making that effort. And I think anyone should make that effort. Just there's so many, like you talked about, excuses.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can go walk your dog, that's already some type of activity.
Yep.
So, my goal was just to keep it simple, keep the eating simple as possible. I try to change up my food instead of maybe having, I would just pay attention to nutrition facts. Nothing crazy. Cause sometimes, you buy a low carb bread, you buy a regular bread, it's maybe off by 20 calories. And you're like,
Right.
why am I eating this not very good stuff right here? But tastes even better. It's only 20 extra calories. Cool. Let me just have this
Yeah.
piece of bacon. Just keeping it simple with the tracking and the activity. It's super, super simple. And I think we just make it super hard sometimes. But it did help having a coach like Nick to be
Yeah.
there step by step. If he's like, hey, if you need me, text me,
Yeah.
message me. I got you, man.
Yeah. That's for all of us coaches. Our goal is to create a situation where you don't have to rely on a coach. We're there, obviously at the beginning, there's a lot of work to be done, but over time you become a little bit more self-aware and accountable, to the point where now, like, what to do.
Oh
And
yeah.
you still can use a coach in the future, because I will say, like, having someone to be accountable to that's not in your house or in your life has a big impact on your success. I would say the success rate for weight loss and keeping it off, coached versus not coached, it's going to be way more success for the coached. It's hard to explain how much experience and knowledge you gain going through this process yourself and then helping others. And you basically shorten the amount of time it takes to learn these lessons. And so, I didn't even know Nick was your coach. That's awesome. So, Nick competed this year. I went to a couple of his shows, which was cool to see. He gets shredded, that dude.
Yeah, he's super awesome.
So, well, hey man, I really appreciate you having you on. I'm hoping you'll jump in the Facebook group for the next
Yeah, for sure.
challenge. Um, you know, just post some of your pictures every now and then and be like, hey guys, like, those week 4, 5, 6, when it gets tough, that's when the champions come out. That's when the
Yep.
people, the motivation is gone, but the discipline is still there, and you just got to keep plugging away. I always like to have, people in that group be so supportive. I know not everybody loves Facebook, but it's just such a good environment, because it's not your typical Facebook environment. It's no politics. There's nothing in there. We're literally
It's
just like, hey, wake up and kick ass.
it's
And
it's a super awesome group. That was probably, I was telling my wife, I was like, I mean, just having that group alone, we had maybe 30, 40 people who'd constantly post every single
yeah,
day.
yeah. Well,
And
I'll tell you this. I've talked a little bit about it on the other podcast, but my goal for this year is to have an in-person event at the end of the challenge. I know not everyone is going to be able to make it. It's probably going to be, not hugely attended, but the goal is to start turning this into like an actual tangible community, right? Not just the
yeah,
internet, but like, hey, let's have some meetups and let's talk to these people in person. And I mean, hug it out, like
yep,
let's so that's exciting for us. The next step is to make this a real live in-person event, and start going from there. So
definitely be super awesome.
yeah, and I mean, we'll make it something where we can plan a weekend around it and just have a fun event, but make some other stuff so it's worth everyone's time to come. um anything other? I mean, obviously you've mentioned coach a couple times. Anyone else you want to talk about or say thanks, or anything else you'd like to say before we get done here?
Christina was super awesome on that group,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
having like someone like Drea post as well, from talk about her past, on how she made the process happen. Um, the whole goal too for me was the after picture, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we get so focused on, like, hey, every single day just trying to lose weight in the 90 days, but it's after is like
Yeah.
my mindset is to just get better and to continue to make better changes on myself. Definitely patience. Once you accept patience, once anyone accepts patience, I feel like that will just change everything, and self-awareness.
Yeah.
Those two things, I feel like you can get through life and you could be a monster in anything you do. Because that's the way I feel right now.
I mean, that's honestly the perfect ending, because I think that mindset is what is going to ensure that you just keep getting better. I mean, it's literally, I think, who was I talking to recently? I said that, oh, I was on a podcast yesterday. Someone was interviewing me, and I said, because I've gotten to spend my time with a lot of like amazing people, world champion bodybuilders and business owners and super successful people. And one of the common traits that I see amongst them is delayed gratification, right? They're doing something that there's no reward today, there's no reward tomorrow,
Yep.
but in months, weeks, years from now, there's going to be that goal reached, and that bleeds into everything we do, right? So I think successful people, although they act in haste in the short term, they're not expecting a result for the long term, and that's really where that patience comes into play. It's almost like you got to be impatient on the daily, but patient in the big picture.
That is
Yeah.
true.
So awesome, man. Hey, Calvin, it was really great talking to you. Hopefully we get to meet up in person.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to try to remember. I'm going to be in San Antonio probably twice next year. There's some big competitions there that I come to. I love Texas. I'll be in Dallas next weekend. It's just a great state. Bodybuilding in Texas is massive. It rivals Florida, California. Those are the big 3 states for bodybuilding. So yeah, awesome stuff.
All right. It was a pleasure.